What is up, everybody? Johnny Two Cellos here, and welcome to my first review in quite a long time. As many of you know, last Friday, BoJack Horseman Season 4 dropped on Netflix. BoJack is easily one of my favorite cartoon series of all time, so I'm really excited to talk with you guys about Season 4. And of course, spoilers lie ahead. Now, this is a show that could be dissected to death, and I really don't want to make a long-winded video here. So I'm just going to talk about a handful of things that really resonated with me and give you guys my general opinion on the season.
Johnny Two Cellos!
I am becoming increasingly convinced that BoJack Horseman showcases the most consistent, high-quality content in animated TV. The first season started a little rough, but to me, the show has maintained an incredible level of quality, starting halfway through Season 1 through to the end of Season 4. And of course, this show is always quite an emotional journey, and this season is no different. It certainly didn't reach the depressing levels of sadness we saw last season, but it was still quite a ride. The first episode doesn't have BoJack in it at all, which I think was a pretty great choice. Mr. Peanut Butter is running for governor against incumbent Woodchuck Berkowitz, and this ends up being a really fun plotline for the year. We also see Diane start to go a little nuts as Mr. Peanut Butter's unlikely chances to become governor actually become increasingly more likely. While this episode was mostly silly dumb fun with plots that include a ski race for the position of governor of California, what I loved about it was that it showed the show doesn't really need to rely on overly emotional plots or even its main character BoJack. It was a great, fun episode, and we didn't even see BoJack once. Also, want to point out the slightly different end credits theme that acted as a sort of campaign song for Mr. Peanut Butter. Good stuff, Grouplove. The second episode is one of my absolute favorites of the series, and it was a heart-wrencher. It starts with a hauntingly beautiful rendition of America's A Horse with No Name, covered by Patrick Carney and Michelle Branch.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all the life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rings.
It really sets the tone for the episode. BoJack retreats to a lake house in Michigan that belonged to his mother's side of the family. Half of this episode revolves around BoJack and his lake house neighbor Eddie, who completely repair the broken down lake house, and we learn a lot about Eddie's past and his buried anguish over the loss of his wife. The other half takes place as a flashback about BoJack's mother Beatrice when she was very young and spending time in this very same house. This was incredibly effective and also allowed us to actually empathize with Beatrice for the first time in the series. It's a heartbreaking story about Beatrice losing her brother Crackerjack to the war. Beatrice's mother subsequently has a bit of a mental breakdown. This leads to one of the most impressive, creative, and heart-wrenching scenes in the entire series, as the events of a flashback and the events of BoJack and Eddie's story are depicted simultaneously, resulting in a gorgeous duet between Eddie and BoJack's grandmother.
I will always think of you. I see your face when each day is through and days go past.
So fast,
But memories, they last.
The end of this episode is tough to watch as we see Eddie break down about his dead wife, and even tougher is the revelation that Beatrice's mother's breakdown resulted in her being lobotomized. Absolutely depressing. It also gives us some insight into why Beatrice was always so cold to BoJack, as her mother made her promise never to love anyone as much as she loved her brother Crackerjack. After this episode, BoJack returns back to Los Angeles, and we get into the meat of this season's story involving a horse named Hollyhock, who believes BoJack might be her father. After her first episode, we're led to believe this as well, and she essentially moves in with BoJack as they attempt to find her mother together. I really enjoyed this season's story, and it paid off in a really great way. Hollyhock pushes BoJack to spend more time with his mother Beatrice, who is suffering from dementia. Somehow Beatrice seems to recognize Hollyhock, but continually refers to BoJack as her former maid Henrietta, And after an unfortunate incident at the nursing home, Beatrice must move in with BoJack and Hollyhock. We immediately see the toll taken on BoJack by spending time around his mother. The following episode prominently features BoJack's inner monologue, which is increasingly self-loathing and in a lot of ways tough to listen to. I definitely think this stems from being around his mother, who obviously degraded him for most of his life. Hollyhock and Beatrice's time at BoJack's ends tragically as Hollyhock overdoses on amphetamines and is subsequently taken home by her 8 gay polyamorous dads. When BoJack finds out that Hollyhock overdosed, he has a major panic attack. To me, this is a very telling scene. It's clear to me that BoJack's panic attack doesn't just stem from the fact that Hollyhock overdosed, but also from the fact that for the second time, he failed miserably as a father figure to similar results. Sarah Lynn's death is still fresh, and he feels that he immediately let down his real daughter in the same way he let down his TV daughter. It is then revealed that Beatrice was actually spiking Hollyhock's coffee with weight loss amphetamines, which obviously infuriates BoJack. After he takes her to a new nursing home, we get another amazing format-breaking episode that takes place entirely in Beatrice's dementia-ridden mind as she recollects events from her past. We see much of her upbringing, including how she met BoJack's dad, Butterscotch. For the entire episode, things in the flashbacks are depicted in a very disjointed and sort of glitchy fashion, representing Beatrice's creeping dementia. Many details change or aren't remembered properly, and we seem to jump around from scene to scene, much to the confusion of Beatrice. It is easily one of the most impressive takes on waning mental health I've ever seen depicted in TV, and is definitely one of my favorite episodes of the show. This episode also gives us the big reveal that Hollyhock actually isn't BoJack's daughter. She's his half-sister. BoJack's father, Butterscotch, impregnated their maid, Henrietta. Beatrice helps Henrietta by offering to pay her way through school, but only if she gives up the child for adoption. In the following episode, BoJack discovers this truth as well by opening some of Beatrice's mail and selflessly relays the information to Hollyhock through her father's. The final scene of the season was possibly the best I ever felt watching a BoJack Horseman season finale, as Hollyhock calls BoJack and tells him she's going to meet her mother, Henrietta. The two of them share a hopeful bonding moment as they both realize they are siblings and have a whole new relationship to explore. I think this could be an important turning point for BoJack. This was the first season where it actually seemed that he did more good than bad in terms of building his relationships. He really seems to be trying to make things right with his friends, and you can tell that he really tried his best to be a good father to Hollyhock. Man, all I have to say is that this show f***s me up. It's so well written and so emotionally draining, but damn is the journey worth watching. I know I focused a lot on the Hollyhock, BoJack, Beatrice storyline, so before we go, here are a few other quick observations about the season. The Diane Gets a Gun storyline was f***ing brilliant social commentary and easily one of my favorite B stories of all time. It was really tough to see Princess Carolyn be so self-destructive this season. She's definitely one of my favorite characters, and I'm always cheering for her, so to see her regress so much from the end of last season was pretty sad. But I'm hoping it means an even more satisfying story for her next season. Jessica Biel playing herself was standout, especially in the Underground episode, and Zach Braff playing himself made me laugh a lot as well. It's nice to see Todd on a path to self-discovery these days. He's always been sort of the adorable doofus who has barely related B stories, but I've really enjoyed his development in the last 2 seasons. I do hope he gets back to his rock opera one day, though. Alright, and that is going to wrap up this little review. I hope you guys enjoyed this season of BoJack Horseman as much as I did, and of course, I hope you enjoyed this review as well. If you liked it, please comment, like, subscribe, and of course, stay tuned for more reviews, investigation, animation, etc.